Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. I am Taco, and this is my Asoiaf Lore series. I've been actually doing a lot of these lately. I wanted to take a break from The Wall. I have another character from The Wall planned, but I just did like 2 in a row. And then I also got my Fool video. So I had a couple more planned for The Wall, and I'm like, maybe we should go south for a little bit before we go back up north. But I just got my Donald Loy video. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. And before that, I did my Sigourn of Thin. And then I have 2 others I want to go up to the wall for, north of the wall for one of them. And I was like, wait, let's go down south first. And yeah, let's go all the way, not all the way down south. We're not going to Dorne, but yeah, let's go to King's Landing and the Reach. But before we go, welcome if you've never been here before. My name is Taco, and I do these all in one big long take, just ranting and raving. I do have my cards that kind of keep me on track, but that's kind of about it. And if you have been here before, like and subscribe, or just normal like. And if you haven't subscribed, oh my God, this is why I don't do intros. All right, let's get into Garlan Tyrell. So this is a rather big character for me to cover. He didn't make it into the show, and he's not a POV character, so he still fits my my criteria to cover these lesser-known characters. But he is a rather important character. He is the second in line in House Tyrell. He is Loras' older brother, and it is crazy that they took the 3 brothers and turned them into one for the show, but they did. And let's get into Garland. So yeah, Garland the Gallant. Garlan Tyrell, known as Garland the Gallant, is a nice knight of House Tyrell, and he's the second son of Lord Mace Tyrell and Lady Allery Hightower. They're a Hightower. A lot of people don't talk about that. His personal coat of arms is 2 golden roses on green, to denote his status as a second son. He is the second in line to Highgarden behind his brother Willis, and he is the older brother of Loras and Marjorie, just a bunch of hot green people. Yep, that's what that's what I wrote. Yeah, so like I said, he's the middle kid. Willis is the oldest, then him, then Loras and Marjorie. So what did I say about his sigil? We'll get into it. So he actually wears one with 2 flowers instead of 1 to show that he is the second son. So he has his own coat of arms, which I think is really cool. So for the second slide, I usually talk about the house that they're in. So this is what I'm going to do. So House Tyrell. House Tyrell of Highgarden is one of the great houses of the seven kingdoms, being Lords Paramount of the Manor and the Liege Lords of the Reach, a large, wealthy house. Its wealth is only surpassed among the great houses of Lannister, but Tyrells can field one of the greatest armies, so bigger than Lannisters. Additionally, they can call them the ships of the Red Wine Fleet. And the lords of the Shield Isles of the coastal lords, they can command a navy that is equal, not if surpass, the royal fleet of King's Landing. I got to take a break. I'm getting tongue-tied. So they have a large area, and they can call on a lot of warriors. And not only that, but they have a lot of coast. And the Red Wines and all these islands, like the Shield Islands and the High Towers and all this. So they have a rather large fleet as well. So they have a naval presence and a large army. Now, I didn't bring it up, but they also have some of the best commanders, like Randyll Tarly. So Highgarden is the ancient seat rule of the heart of chivalry in the 7 kingdoms. Their sigil is a golden rose on a green field, and their words are growing strong. Members of the family tend to have curly brown hair and brown eyes. All right, there we go. That's House Tyrell. Let's actually talk about Garland. So we had Garland the Gallant, and now we have Garland the Gross. Garland is similar in appearance to his younger brother Loras, but he is taller and more broadly built. He has a beard. Me too. Garland is 5 years older than Loras. He is an exceptionally skilled swordsman, preferring to train against 3 or 4 at once, so to better prepare himself for an actual battle. But his lack of interest in glory makes him less famous than Loras. Yeah, so he's actually a better fighter than Loras, but he's low key. Garland isn't the Knight of Roses like Loras is, right? And he's not trying to win glory, and he isn't always fighting in tourneys, but he's a better fighter, hands down. And yeah, I like him. I like him for that. Garland was plump in his youth. His elder brother Willis shrewdly dubbed him as the Gallant, to save him from the indignity that befell their uncle, nicknamed Garth the Gross. So his brother Willis didn't want people calling him Garland the Gross, even though I did. So he's like, no, we got to come up with a nickname first. And then he's like, Garland the Gallant. And that's why he got that nickname, was to save him from being the gross, because he was a chubby boy. I'm a chubby guy. I'm a chubby man. I wasn't chubby as a kid, though. He is married to Lady Leonette. All right. Of House Fossaway. And before you ask, it's unknown what color of apple she is. We don't know. She's from House Fossaway, but we don't know if it's the red apple or the green apple Fossaways. But I still want to bring it up because I love the Fossaways. Garland the Ghost. We're jumping right into it. So this is the first time that we're actually getting to something that he did in the main story. But yeah, and this art is really great. Art by Steffi Stabity. Yeah, great art here. Garland the Ghost. During the War of the Five Kings, House Tyrell started the war on Renly's side, but after his death, they seemingly took their forces back to Highgarden, but thanks to the littlest of fingers, they joined House Lannister just in time to arrive at the Black Water to kick Stannis in the booty. Good old Deus Ex Highgarden. Sir Garland takes part in the Battle of the Blackwater, playing the part of late Renly Baratheon, dressing up in his armor. And that's what we're seeing in this picture. It's a great picture. To scare ignorant men-at-arms among Stannis Baratheon's army, Renly's ghost, actually Garland, leads the Tyrell's army's vanguard to slay Sir Gayard Morgan in single combat. Whoa, I just covered a lot. All right, so there isn't too much going on with the Reach in the first book, but at the end of the second book, in A Clash of Kings, in the middle, when Catelyn goes and meets them, right, and we meet some of the Tyrells, and then later when they join at the Blackwater, so Renly was already killed, right, and a lot of Renly's men went over to Stannis' side. So Garland plays this trick by wearing Renly's armor and being just a complete tank, badass. Everyone who betrayed Renly to go into Stannis' side is like, oh no, Renly's ghost, and they all started to run. And it like really messed with people. It was this really smart and cool play that they had. And the Red keep following. So this is after the battle. And the Red keep following the battle. Joffrey is awarding the winners of the battle. Loras asks to be a member of the Kingsguard, which he grants. And then Garland asks Joffrey to marry Marjorie, his sister and Renly's widow. Joffrey agrees to set aside his betrothal to Sansa Stark and instead marry Marjorie. Garland is raised to Lord Brightwater Keep, the Lord of Brightwater Keep, at the seat of House Florent, as a reward for the Blackwater. So he goes, Joffrey's like, what do you guys want for helping? What are we going to reward you? And he's like, marry my sister. So Garland's the one who technically puts that in motion. Although the small council knew it was going to happen and it was already kind of in motion, right? So yeah, and then he got awarded this keep that's actually from House Florent, but the Florents are fighting for Stannis. So then next we got Garland the wedding guest. You guys like that? All of them are Garlands. Garland the wedding guest. Garland speaks and dances with Sansa during her wedding to Tyrion Lannister. He tries to ease Sansa's fears about marrying Tyrion, despite the fact that most of the Tyrells are avoiding any interaction with Sansa in the wake that their attempts to marry Sansa off to Willis failed. He remarks that Tyrion is a bigger man than he seems and states that she would be happier with him than Loras, which implies that he knows about his brother's sexual orientation, because that's what she's worried about, right? He might be short, but at least he'll bang you. That's such a weird thing. It's like, well, better being with him. I don't care who that, like, I'm being forced married to Tyrion. I'm not worried that he won't bang me. What a off thing to say there, Garland. Garland and his wife, Lynette Fossaway, attend another wedding, the royal wedding of Joffrey to Marjorie. While there, he speaks to Tyrion, praising his plans, which helped save King's Landing from Stannis Baratheon's forces. He tells Tyrion that he is made to do great deeds. He also rebukes Joffrey for publicly shaming Tyrion and destroying Tyrion's wedding gift. Lives of the Four Kings was the wedding gift. Garland unsuccessfully tries to save the boy king who chokes to death. Okay, what did I just say? I said a lot of stuff. So he went to the couple weddings in King's Landing in this short period of time. But what really did I say? Garland's a nice guy. He tries to calm down Sansa when he probably shouldn't even be talking to her because they want to distance themselves from the fact that they tried to already marry her off. So, but he still goes and dances with her and still talks to her. And then he goes and talks to Tyrion. And he's one of the very few people that recognize Tyrion's help in the defense of King's Landing. And not only that, but he says, you'll go on to do great things. Like, is he playing a game? Like, what's up, Garlan Tyrell? Or is he just a sweet dude, which is really rare in this world, right? So maybe. I got my eye on you, Garland. Of course, that's why I'm making a video. All right, we got one more thing that he did. Garland the Warrior. This is a picture of him training with multiple dudes at once, like I was saying earlier. From King's Landing, Garland brings half of the Tyrell strength back to the Reach to press his claim for Brightwater Keep, which is held by Sir Garlan Florent. He is preparing to take Brightwater when the news of the Ironborn taking the Shield Islands reaches him. Garland begins to gather men from across the Reach to retake the islands. Garland versus Euron, one of the most good characters versus one of the most bad. Heck yeah. We haven't got that yet. But he's going now to there to take him from the Shield Isles, but he might be in Hightower by then. So maybe he's going to fight him in Hightower. Whoa, that would be really cool. That's what I'm saying. Like, is that what this is going to be? Is it going to be Garland versus Euron? That's something. I mean, Euron's going to win. Poor Garland. After Queen Marjorie is imprisoned by the Faith Militant, she tells the Queen Regent, Cersei, that she would want Garland to represent her in a possible trial by combat. Cersei explains that Garland will not be able to represent a queen because he is not a member of the Kingsguard, which is a weird rule. Is that a rule? But yeah, so that was the last little thing. So as of right now, all the stuff with Faith Militant and everything's happening in King's Landing, and Garland's not in King's Landing. He is taking half the Tyrell strength to go possibly fight Euron. All right, now let's do some symbolism. So we got all the way through. Let's get some symbolism. Now, this is a bit of a stretch, and I didn't want to get into it fully. So there are other YouTubers and better YouTubers who have talked about the Green Knight, as in the Arthurian legend of Gawain and the Green Knight. There are YouTubers who have brought that up with the Tyrells, but I just want to bring it up a little bit now. So Arthurian symbolism, there is a connection here between Garland and the Knight of the Round Table, Gawain. For the most part, it's House Tyrell in full that has lots of Gawain symbolism. And not only that, but like the Reach in general. It's very chivalrous, right? It's very Knights of the Round Table. The whole Reach is starting all the way back with House Gardner and Garth the Green Hand. I'm not an expert on Arthurian symbolism, of course. But I think George wants us to connect the three brothers to Gawain. Gawain fights as the magical Green Knight, or Gawain fights the magical Green Knight and learns that he is an imperfect person and he is a very, very human. He's very flawed. Garland wears, I just like really dumbed down that whole thing. I know that's not all the book is about. I know that the whole story of him and the Green Knight is a lot more complex than that. But yeah. George wants us to connect the three Tyrell brothers to Gawain. Gawain fights. Oh, I already said all that. Garland wears Renly's green armor, and the small folk think he's like this magical ghost, so he is kind of like a green knight. Also, Loras looking like the Knight of Legends, like an Arthurian knight. This legendary, he kind of really gets into this legendary persona, right? But he gives off this perfect knight vibe, but really he is this overly proud and angry man. He lets his anger get the best of him when he kills his fellow Rainbow Guard. I don't have too much. I'm sure better YouTubers have covered this and more, and I know they have. I just want to mention the Gawain, the Green Knight connections with Loras and Garland and other Tyrells, because there's a little bit there, and it's fun. So there you guys go. 17 minutes in some second video. Not too bad. Have a good one. We're going back to the north with the next one video that I put out for Song of Ice and Fire. But yeah, please click like and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff. Also, tell me what you think of Garland. Do you think they should have had him on the show? I think they should have. And yeah, that's it. Go and take your castle for the Florence. Bye.